What is going on, everyone? 2 days ago, the 2023 college baseball tournament was released, the field was released, all the regionals were set, and ever since that moment, it seems everyone has been wondering, why is this team hosting? Why isn't this team hosting? Why is this team matched up in this regional when they should be here? Why are they here? Everyone is just trying to argue to see where the community screwed up, what teams got screwed over, what teams got the most fortunate outcomes. But fear no more. I'm going to go ahead and rank every single regional from weakest to strongest, weakest starting at 16, going all the way up until I reach the strongest regional at number 1. I'm going to back this up using RPI rankings, ELO rankings, and just overall records. But just a disclaimer, while I will use those, most of this will be completely, in my opinion, what I think strong teams are. There's some rankings I don't agree with. We all know the RPI is a bit flawed. ELO isn't really used by a whole lot. ELO is similar to the chess rating, so if you're familiar with that, it's kind of more of a what have you done for me lately type ranking. So you're going to see a lot of teams coming into the tournament hot are going to be ranked higher than what they are in the RPI. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it, ranking every single regional from weakest to strongest. Alright, so coming in at number 16, and in my opinion, the weakest regional, it is the Conway Regional, and it pains me to say that. And this isn't really nothing to do, or nothing to go against anyone in the Conway Regional. I think the NCAA tournament does a great job of having 3 teams in each region that can always win. It's a great tournament field, it's very competitive, so none of these regionals are weak per se, but when compared against each other, there's going to be a certain pecking order. And I just think Conway comes in at probably the weakest one. Coastal Carolina is a very solid team. They've been ranked in the top 15, it seems like, all year. One of the best lineups in the country, but their pitching is just not that great. And then looking through the rest of it, you have Duke. Duke has been solid, but they've just been they've been solid, but nothing too special, nothing to write home about. But they're a solid team, so they should not be looked over. But as a 2 seed, I just don't see them being that dangerous in the grand scheme of things. And kind of the same goes for UNCW. I touched on this in my last video. UNCW has been a consistent mid-major team that's been very competitive, very good. I mean, their RPI and ELO is very solid for mid-major. They're a great team, good 3 seed, but they're just not a team that I see making any runs. And that's kind of how I feel about the whole entire region. I think Coastal or Duke could definitely make some runs, but I just don't see it happening realistically. I don't see it happening majority of the time. I think whoever wins this one will lose to whoever comes out of the Charlottesville Regional over there. I think Virginia and ECU are both kind of maybe a bit better than everyone in this region. And then looking at the 4 seed Rider, it's not the worst 4 seed. They're kind of middle of the pack 4 seed wise. But it doesn't do anything to help them, but it just doesn't do anything to hurt them. And I think the Conway Regional just comes in at just an okay regional. Solid teams, but nothing too spectacular. Coming in at the number 15 spot, we're going to have the Baton Rouge Regional. And I know, I'm already going to get hate on it because it's LSU hosting. LSU and Oregon State, 2 storied programs in college baseball. LSU, best roster in baseball probably. Oregon State is turning the tide. But I just don't think this is a very good regional outside of LSU and Oregon State. Even the numbers aren't very high in Oregon State. 37 RPI is really low for a 2 seed. I want to say that's one of the lower 2 seeds in the tournament. Tulane is just one of the worst 4 seeds. I mean, they're 19 and 40. Just not good. I know they went on a crazy run, but just not good. And then Sam Houston State is probably one of the bottom 2, 3 seeds in my opinion. So there's just not a lot to write home about in this regional. It is very much carried by LSU, strong roster, the best in the nation. I've said multiple times. And Oregon State being, Oregon State, great team, great program. I'm not counting them out, even though the RPI has them really low. I think they're a very solid team who's going to give LSU struggles here. But like I said in my other video, I think this really is just a 2-team race between Oregon State and LSU. But outside of the other regions, there's a lot of strong ones here, and I just don't think this is one of them. With that being said, I do give it the boost over the Conway Regional because I think LSU is a team who can make a run to the College World Series easily. And I just don't see that in the Conway Regional. Oregon State is a team who I think can make a run as well. And their matchup with the Lexington Regional, which I think should be a favorable matchup for whoever comes out of this one. But you just never know. And right now, I have LSU, the Baton Rouge Regional, at number 15. Coming in at the number 14 spot, we have the Auburn Regional, the number 13 national seed. Auburn, Southern Miss, Stanford, and Penn. And don't get me wrong here, I think this is going to be one of the best regionals we will see. So I know people are wondering, well, why do you think it's going to be good if you think it's going to be 14? Well, that's just because of how great this tournament is. There's so many good matchups, so many good regionals here. It's hard to pick them. It's hard to rank them. But I think the Auburn one's 14, and kind of similar to how I felt about the Baton Rouge Regional. I think Auburn and Southern Miss are both great teams, but I think Auburn is probably the weakest host here. Them or Indiana State definitely are the weakest hosts. I mean, Auburn's the lowest RPI team of any host. Their ELO isn't great, but it's all right. They are one of the... I mean, Southern Miss is right there with them. They're just 2 spots below them in the RPI, 2 spots below them in the ELO. Southern Miss, obviously, with their another record 40-plus win season. I think Stanford is a really good 3 seed. I think they're definitely underrated. I don't see them making any deep runs, but they are a better mid-major team. They're a team that can give Southern Miss and Auburn troubles. So I guess a little bit of a boost there. Penn is a 4 seed, not the worst. They're 32-14, but once again, nothing to write home about. I don't think they're very threatening to any of these teams. Maybe Stanford, but I don't think so. But overall, I think this region is going to be a good one. I think Auburn, Southern Miss, and Stanford are going to have some good battles here. Like I said in my predictions video, I think Southern Miss wins this one. I think Southern Miss is definitely underrated. They're one of the stronger 2 seeds. They might be ranked. I might have them ranked as my highest 2 seed when that video comes out. We'll see. I like them a lot. I like Auburn. I don't like Auburn as the number 1, but when you have 2 teams that either could be hosting in Southern Miss and Auburn, it's going to be a pretty good regional. But despite everything, I'm going to have them here at number 14. Coming in at number 13, I have the Nashville Regional, and I already know everyone's saying, oh, there's 3 SEC regionals in the bottom. What are you doing? You obviously hate the SEC. You're just a hater. Listen. This one is definitely a personal opinion one. I said in the last video, I think Vanderbilt is a very, very good team, and I think they're just a cut above everyone in this region. I think this regional isn't the best. I know we have SEC champs and Vanderbilt, the Pac-12 champs in Oregon, the Big East champs in Xavier. So 3 conference champions. How can this one be so low at number 13? I am just not very high on Xavier and Oregon. Xavier didn't look very good in the regular season. They're able to take out UConn a few times, so they had their number, which helped them out a lot. Their ELO is not very good. It's 62nd for a 3 seed. It's not good. Oregon has good metrics. RPI 34th, ELO 23rd, 37-20 record. They're a very solid team, just kind of up and down throughout the year. But I think just overall, Vanderbilt is just a cut above both of those teams. And then you have Eastern Illinois, which is not a great 4 seed. They're kind of a middle of the pack 4 seed. Once again, nothing to write home about. Doesn't hurt them, but definitely doesn't help them. I just think Vanderbilt is just very good. I think Oregon and Xavier are both good teams. I just don't think they're great teams. I can't really see Oregon or Xavier making runs here in this postseason. I could definitely see that for Vanderbilt, though, so that's why it gets a bit of boost to 13, and the conference championships do help, which is why I have it above the Auburn Regional. And the Nashville Regional will come in at number 13. All right, coming in at the 12th hardest regional, 5th easiest regional, whichever way you look at it, I have the Stanford Regional. Here we have Stanford, San Jose State, Cal State Fullerton, and Texas A&M. On the surface, it looks like a really great regional. You have Stanford, storied program, went to Omaha last year, very solid team. Texas A&M started out number 6 in the country, was in Omaha last year. Overall, just solid program. They had a good run in the SEC tournament. They look great. Then you have Cal State Fullerton, one of the great mid-majors in all of baseball. They've had a storied success. Recently, they haven't been great, but it seems like they're back now, back in the tournament, back where they belong. And then you have San Jose State, who is probably one of the better 4 seeds metric-wise. But I just don't think this regional is going to be all that great. Don't get me wrong. I think Stanford is a great team. I think A&M is a great team. But I am just not very big on Cal State Fullerton. I know I have them Actually, have them upsetting Stanford in this regional. But overall, in the regular season, they have not looked fantastic. And I think that plays a factor when you're ranking all these regionals against each other. I mean, Stanford, a lot of people argued Stanford overrated this year. They get a West Coast kind of bias thing with them being the best ones out there. Their RPI and ELOs both sits at 15. So, I mean, they're a very solid program. Texas A&M kind of has a disparity here, 29th RPI, but a 12th ranked ELO. That's once again, what have you done for me recently? Texas A&M has performed well at the end of the season. They look great heading into the tournament. But Cal State Fullerton is one of the worst 3 seeds metric-wise. They have the worst ELO of any 3 seed, and they have the 3rd worst RPI of any 3 seed. So it makes you wonder, how much is this bracket name brand? Are we really looking at how the teams are or what we want them to do? San Jose State's a good 4 seed. They're one of the better ones. So that helps them. That definitely helps them bump up a bit, that they don't have a dreadful 4 seed weighing them down. But overall, I think it's going to be a good regional. I'm excited to see Stanford, A&M. I'm excited to see Cal State Fullerton back in the tourney. But for me, it's a 12th ranked regional, and it's just not one of the better ones. Coming in at the number 11 spot, we have I'm going to absolutely butcher it again, but the Terre Haute Regional, Terre Haute, Indiana State Regional, whatever you want to call it. I've never been to Indiana. I don't know how it's pronounced. Never been anywhere closer to town, so I couldn't tell you. But we have here one of my favorite regionals, and I hate that it ranks so low. I feel a lot of people probably have this as one of their bottom ones just because they're not familiar with Indiana State, or they're not familiar, how are they hosting when there's much better teams out there, like Southern Miss, Tennessee, Campbell. But Indiana State, metric-wise, they deserve the hosts. I mean, they're 9th in the RPI. The RPI loved them all year. They're top 10 for majority of it. I don't know if they're that good, in my opinion. The ELO had them at 18, so even then, they were still right in that hosting conversation. And I think they're a very solid team. I think they were deserved to be in the conversation. I'm glad that they're hosting. I like when they go to different sites and have different experiences. But they have a really, really strong region here. You have Iowa's a 2 seed. They have one of the best pitching cores in the country. They have one of the best aces in the country. But outside of that, they're not spectacular, but they are a team who is very good, deserving of the 2 seed. Somewhat lower metrics. They actually are ranked lower than North Carolina in both RPI and ELO. I'm not sure why the metrics love North Carolina so much. I said that even though I literally picked them to win the region. North Carolina's has an RPI 27, ELO 20. Their ELO is the highest out of all 3 seeds, and I want to say their RPI is right there at 2nd. So the metrics love North Carolina. They have them as one of the best 3 seeds, and I think that helps out this region a lot. So you have North Carolina here, top 3 seed. Iowa, a very good 2 seed. Indiana State in that hosting conversation, maybe one of the weaker number 1 seeds, but they still are a number 1 seed nonetheless. But they do get a big boost here from Wright State. Wright State is one of, if not the best 4 seed. Their RPI is 77, which is very high for a 4 seed. They've been a very good team for multiple years now. They've been to the tournament multiple times. I think they're going to put up a good fight here against Indiana State and whoever they play next. 39-21 records, nothing to laugh at. Almost a 40-win season. Overall, this regional has one of the highest overall records at a 69% win percentage. So these teams here know how to win. They've won a lot this year. It's going to be a fun regional. And it comes in at the 11th strongest one for me. All right, starting off the top 10, we have the Lexington Regional, hosted by Kentucky, which I don't know if you guys have seen what's been going on there, but I am stunned that the NCAA let Kentucky host this when there's not a hotel available and within an hour. I mean, the teams are literally staying in Kentucky's dorms. I think that is a huge oversight on the NCAA's part. I don't know how you let that happen. But regardless, all that aside, we're in the Lexington Regional here, and we have some great, really, really solid teams here. Kentucky has been loved by the metrics. RPI, they have them at 2. I definitely don't think they're the number 2 team in the country, but you know how RPI is. ELO has them at 19. I think that's probably closer to where I would have them. But they have some strong teams in here. West Virginia, they're ranked number 6 almost at the end of the season. They went 0-5, and now they're kind of just chilling in this number 2 seed. In my opinion, one of the stronger number 2 seeds. Definitely one that I think can make a run here. I think Kentucky can make a run. I'm not very big on them, but they can. And then your 3 seed is a 40-win team. I mean, they have 41 wins this year. I know it's in the Big Ten. I know it's not against the best of competition, but regardless, having 40 wins as a 3 seed is going to make you nervous no matter who you are in the region, right? Their 4 seed is Ball State. Ball State is a pretty middle-of-the-pack 4 seed. They have good pitching. They've been consistently good for a while, for a couple of years now, but so I don't think it hurts them in any way. Maybe gives them a slight boost here, but really what I'm looking at here is you have a team who was projected to host for the most of the second half of the season in West Virginia. You have a team who's been loved by the RPI. They've kind of been sliding to end the season, but they're still have been up there in the hosting conversation in Kentucky. And then you have Indiana, who's a 41-win team. They have good pitching. They have good hitting. They can give anyone in this region a scare. So I think it's just going to be an all-around fun regional. I know I said multiple times I'm not very high in Kentucky, but regardless, they are a hosting team. They're a team that deserves a host. And I think it's going to be a very fun regional. And it's going to come in at my number 10 spot. And coming in at the number 9 spot, we have the number 1 region, the Winston-Salem Regional, hosted by number 1 overall seed Wake Forest. If I'm Wake Forest here, I'm not very happy with how this turned out. You get a 2 seed in Maryland, 41-win team, has not lost a Big Ten series in 2 years. They went against each other last year. I don't remember if it was UConn or Maryland that eliminated them, but Maryland made it further than Wake Forest in their own regional. And then you get this Northeastern team, who is one of my favorite 3 seeds because no one really knows where to put them. They're 44-14, so a lot of people are like, oh, they should be a 2 seed. But then you have the people who are like, well, who have they played? They haven't played anyone. They deserve to be a 3 seed. Regardless, RPI has them at 31, which is higher than Maryland. I think that's very interesting. Their ELO is 51, so not the best, but this Northeastern team is a team that's been good for a while now. The whole year they've looked great. They've been in the conversation to be in the region. Everyone knew that they were going to win their conference, and they had that with no issues. So I think the top 3 seeds here are very strong, and Wake Forest probably will not be happy with this. With that being said, you get George Mason, who is probably the worst team in the tournament, metric-wise. I know Tulane is 19-40, so they're probably the worst team for me, but George Mason they're lower than Tulane in both RPI and ELO. They're 34-25, but they're just not a very good team. I do think that hurts them a little bit. This region could have gone up a bit higher, but George Mason kind of brings them down. But the top 3 here is really good. And overall, despite George Mason not having the best record, this overall region still has a 71% win percentage, which is tied for the best. And they had them. I'm mistaken. They're not the best. I want to say they're the second best. They're tied for the most wins in total out of all regions. But it's going to be a good one. I do think Wake Forest is just a bit better than everyone, but the 2 and 3 seeds very strong, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. They're coming in at the number 9 spot. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have the Winston-Salem Regional counterpart here in the Tuscaloosa Regional, number 16 overall seed Alabama. And this one is super intriguing to me. It's one of my favorite regionals. I cannot wait to see us unfold. So you get Alabama, who's been red hot to end the season. Their ELO is number 7 in the country. And then their 2 seed is maybe one of the best 2 seeds, Boston College, who was in a hosting conversation the whole entire year. Just couldn't get it done towards the end. But they have an 18th RPI, 24th ELO, 35-18 record. They look very good. And then you get a 39-win 3 seed in Troy. And the 39 wins is no joke. They were in the Sun Belt Conference. Once again, Sun Belt Conference, a very good conference. Has a lot of good teams in there. So not the best read. I mean, usually when you look at the number 16 overall regional, you want to think it's it's the teams who barely miss out on hosting and someone else. This year it doesn't seem like that's the case, but it definitely is a very, very strong region. Then you get Nicholls State at the 4. Nicholls is not bad. They come in pretty hot. They're 72 overall in ELO, 32-22 record. Just the average ELO record here is pretty low compared to all the other regionals. I think they rank 4th out of all regions in ELO record. So if you value that, this is going to be one of your stronger regions. I have this about middle of the road. I think Boston College is a scary team, a great 2 seed. Troy's a good team, a good 3 seed. And Alabama's looking red hot right now. I think they're probably a bit better than number 16. I'm surprised that they were 16. I think they're definitely a better host than Kentucky, Auburn, South Carolina, Indiana State. So even number 16 is a little surprising based on how they ended the season. But overall, it's going to be a gauntlet of a regional. And any one of these top 3 teams can definitely come out of here. So coming in at number 8 spot, we have the Tuscaloosa Regional. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have the Coral Gables Regional, hosted by Miami, the number 9 overall seed here. When I first saw it, when the bracket was first released, I saw this region and thought this was an absolute gauntlet of a region. Miami, Texas, and Louisiana are all very, very solid teams. But after doing some number crunching and looking at the analytics here, it looks like the numbers aren't as high as this region as I personally am, so they get a bit of bump in my opinion. Looking at like Texas, their ELO is 36, not great. Louisiana's RPI is 47, not great. And then Maine is one of the worst 4 seeds in the country, so that's not helping them out or doing any favors. But Miami comes in as a very strong host here at number 9. And then Texas is a team that you can just never count out. Such a solid program. Made it to Omaha last year. The Big 12 regular season champions. They just have a bit of a skid here at the end of the season with not winning a game in the Big 12 tournament. But I think they're going to be a team that can definitely compete. And Louisiana's coming in pretty hot. They had a great run in the Sun Belt tournament to get themselves here as they were on the bubble. And then this is a team that won 40 games. I mean, Louisiana's 40-22. And like I said before, anytime you get a 40-win 3 seed, you're not going to be too happy about it. They're tied for the most wins in this whole region. And that's going against a pretty tough conference schedule in the Sun Belt. Granted, there are a bit of pushovers there, so it's not like the ACC, it's not the SEC, it's not the Big 12. But it is a strong conference nonetheless, and they're going to be battle tested. I think it's going to be a great region. Any of these top 3 teams can take it. I think that's a huge part in what goes into these rankings is who can win it, Who can win it, who can make a run. I think Miami and Texas are both teams that could go to Omaha. Louisiana, I don't know if they can make it to Omaha, but they could definitely win this region and perform well in a super regional and even make it there. I'm not counting them out. I just don't think it's going to happen. But, with that being said, I'm going to have this at number 7, and I think this is going to be an absolute amazing region to watch. All right, just missing out on the top 5, we have the Charlottesville Regional coming in at number 6, in my opinion, 6th hardest region. Man, this one is going to be a great one. You get Virginia and ECU, 2 teams who fought off last year in the Greenville Regional. Both of these teams are great. Both these teams have, I've seen them been picked to go to Omaha a lot. I know earlier when I was saying that Conway was probably the weakest one. I think both of these teams can beat whoever comes out of that one. I think both of these teams should be not favorites, but should be picked heavily to go to Omaha. Both these teams have 45 wins. They're both just really good. And then, you have the 3 seed in Oklahoma, who a lot of people were like, why are they in here? But 40th RPI, 45th ELO, and they went to the College World Series Championship Series last year. I feel like a lot of people are missing out on that. It was them and Ole Miss. Oklahoma was a great team last year, and they could do it just again. Just get hot at the right time and make a big run. Then you have Army in the 4 seed, 38-16, very solid record. The numbers don't love them too much. RPI 92nd, ELO 104, but this is not a pushover by any means. It's not your, throw out your worst pitcher and see what happens. I think Army is a team who can put up a fight. I don't think they're going to win just because of how strong this region is. I don't think they're going to win any games because of how strong this region is, but this is definitely absolutely one of the stronger regions in my opinion. I think the top 2 here can go against the top 2 in almost any region. And then you get Oklahoma in the 3, who everyone has their own opinion on them. 31-26 is not great. They didn't look great in Big 12, but they're in here. They have some good wins, good series wins. And they're a program who made the College World Series Championship last year. They know how to win, and I think they can absolutely do it. So that is why the Charlottesville Regional will come in at number 6 for me. All right, starting off the top 5, we have the Columbia Regional here. And here we have the team that most people thought should host, and Campbell not hosting, coming in my opinion, as the strongest 2 seed, maybe the second strongest 2 seed here. This is going to be an absolute dynamic regional. South Carolina, not look great at the end of the season, but if they can get back to where they were at the beginning of the season, I mean, this was a top 3 team in the country. This is an absolute amazing squad. Them and Campbell's going to be a lot of fun to see. I haven't been real high in NC State this year, but the computers seem to love them. They're 23rd in RPI and 27th in ELO, which is really good for a 3 seed. I mean, number-wise, taking a look here, it looks like out of all the 3 seeds, they have the highest RPI and the second highest ELO, so kind of like them in North Carolina. I guess the computers just love the ACC, North Carolina schools. This is definitely one of the stronger 3 seeds in the whole entire country. So South Carolina, Campbell, and NC State create a huge big 3 of just Carolina's baseball. We get Central Connecticut State at the 4, which is, I mean, not good. They're 36-12, but they haven't had a strong showing in non-conference. They haven't really played anyone that great. So I'm not really putting any stock into them, but the top 3 here is as good as any top 3 in any region, which is why they're going to be number 5 for me. Any team can take this year, and I think it's going to be an absolute so fun regional to watch. It's funny because South Carolina, their ELO is 31st based on how they ended the season, which is lower than both Campbell and NC State. It looks like they're the only host to be the 3rd best in ELO, so take that for however much you will. Their average RPI rank versus their average ELO rank is a pretty big discrepancy here. Most of the time, the average ELO rank in the region versus the average RPI rank in the region is pretty close, within like 5 or 10. This one's about a 15 rank difference, so anything can happen here. No one really knows who's going to take this one. It's going to be exciting to see, and I can't wait. Columbia is coming in at the 5th hardest region for me. All right, coming in at number 4, we have the Gainesville Regional here. And this is one that I am using my own personal bias to jump up here. I think Florida is one of the best teams in the country. They are my pick to win it all, so I think they are a great team here. And then you get UConn as a 2 seed, who has proven to be dangerous. And then you get Texas Tech, which I think Texas Tech is very underrated this year. I know they haven't performed the best, but this is a team that's full of talent and can make any team nervous. They can hang with anyone, and they're a team that can be poised to make a run just as UConn is. When I look at this regional, I see 3 teams that could all make Omaha realistically. I think if Florida makes it out here, they should be favored over whoever comes out of Columbia Regional. I think UConn should be favored over everyone outside of maybe Campbell. I think Texas Tech should probably be favored outside of maybe South Carolina and Campbell. But, I mean, these are 3 schools that can all make a deep run, all have solid programs, all have been here. Florida A&M is one of those bottom 3. 4 seeds, not really expecting much out of them. They bring it down just a little bit, but, I mean, you balance that out with the 2nd overall seed, maybe the best team in the country, Florida. UConn, Texas Tech. I mean, this is just a gauntlet of regional. I think Florida's better, but I think that's a testament to just how good Florida is. Normally, this region would be a region that I could see any 3 winning. I still do. I would not be surprised if anyone picked Texas Tech, anyone picked UConn. And that is why the Gainesville Regional comes in at the number 4 toughest regional for me. And kicking off our top 3 here, I think these top 3 regions are just absolute gauntlets here. Kind of a step above the rest. And coming in at number 3 spot, we have the Clemson Regional. You have Clemson, who's the hottest team in the country. 22 of their last 24 are wins. They're currently 1st in ELO ranking, 6th in RPI. And then you get such a strong 2 seed in Tennessee. I don't think anyone is counting out Tennessee based on how they played last year. I know they're not the same team this year, but they are still a very, very solid team. And they are the only team in the whole entire NCAA tournament to have a top 10 ELO ranking or top 10 RPI ranking and not be a host. They're 20th in RPI, 9th in ELO, 38-19. They're coming in hot. The Clemson and Tennessee matchup is going to be insane if they get to play. I think that's the strongest 1-2 punch of any region here. I think both these teams can make Omaha. Both these teams can make the College World Series. Both these teams can win it all, and I would not be surprised in the slightest. And then you round it out with a 3 seed in Charlotte, who's a good mid-major. Charlotte's been good for a while here. They're coming in pretty hot. They have a 43rd ranked ELO, 34-26, not their best record, but they are still coming in hot. They're looking good. Then you get Lipscomb, who is one of the better 4 seeds in the whole entire thing. 36-24 record. They are 58th in RPI, or 58th in ELO, sorry. And that's one of the better ones in the whole entire tournament. I want to say that's 2nd. It's third. I believe it is third. Yes, it's third. Funny enough, the top two are the ones coming up. But looking at it, Lipscomb's a good 4 seed. I don't think they can beat Charlotte. I think they could give Tennessee and Clemson troubles. This is the one where any 4 of these teams can get wins in this region, and I think that's super scary. And then to combine that was probably the best 1-2 punch in any region, and that's why the Clemson Regional is coming in at number 3. Coming in the number 2, my personal second hardest regional is the Fayetteville Regional. And if you're an Arkansas fan, you're like, man, what did we do to deserve this, right? First, you start off really hot, your team's looking great, and then injury. It just keeps going. You get injured throughout the whole entire season, but yet they still just keep fighting. They still win games. They're still one of the best teams in the country, despite all these injuries. I mean, they got the 3 seed. They're number 3 seed. They're looking phenomenal here. And then you get paired up with a red-hot TCU team, just won a Big 12, red-hot Arizona team, who just went to the Pac-12 championship game, and you're like, oh, come on. And then on top of that, you have a Santa Clara team who's probably the second best 4 seed of any of the whole entire tournament. 50th ELO, 81st RPI, 35-18 rating. Are you kidding me? Like, if I'm an Arkansas fan, I'm absolutely heated over this one. But regardless here, taking a look at all these teams, you have Arkansas, RPI number 3, ELO number 5, red hot, looking great. TCU, RPI 33, not the best, but their ELO is 17. They've been playing some great ball here. Like I said, they just won the Big 12 conference tournament. They didn't lose a game there. They didn't look bad. They looked phenomenal. And then you have Arizona, one of those teams that people are wondering how they got in here, but now that they're here, you don't want to play them. They're red hot. They're 28th in the ELO, 45th in RPI. They have Chase Davis, one of the best players in the country. This is a lineup that can mash. This is a pitching staff that hasn't looked great, but when you got a lineup that can mash like that, what does it matter? TCU, Arizona, great schools. Arkansas, great schools. Santa Clara, great team this year, 35-18. Second least losses of anyone in this region. I mean, there's no pushovers here. You're Arkansas, you're not happy about it, but it's going to make for some absolutely amazing baseball, and I can just not wait to watch this one. Fayetteville Regional has the second hardest regional, in my opinion. And coming in at my number 1 spot for the hardest regional of all of them, it's the Stillwater Regional, coming in at number 1. So let's take a look at it here. You have Oklahoma State as a host. Maybe not the strongest 1 seed. Their RPI is 17. Their ELO is 16, but they're a 41-win team. Then you get Dallas Baptist as a 2 seed. Their RPI is 16 and ELO is 14. They outrank Oklahoma State in both those categories. 45 wins, 14 losses. Oh. Then you get Washington here, 35 ELO, 36 RPI, 34-win team. They looked good. That's not a team you want to have in your regional either. And then, oh yeah, you get the best 4 seed of them all. Oral Roberts, 46 wins, 11 losses. I know, not the greatest conference schedule. They haven't played anyone great, but this is still a very good ball club. You don't win 46 games by accident. There's RPI 76, which is very high for a 4 seed. But then their ELO is 29th. This team is red hot. When's the last time they lost a game? I want to say they've won, I think it's about 12 of their last 13 or 13 of their last 14. Like, this is a red hot team. No one wanted to see Oral Roberts as a 4 seed in their regional, and here they are. The highest ranked team on ELO in this regional is Washington at 35. Their average ELO rank is 23.5. That's first in the whole entire region. No surprise there. Their average RPI is 36.25. I believe that's tied for first of all these regions. And then they have the best win record, 73%, 166 and 61 overall in this regional. This is just an absolute gauntlet. All 4 of these teams are great teams. Any of them can win it. Nothing is safe here. Oklahoma State, you're not happy. Dallas Baptist, you're probably not happy. Washington, you're happy to be here. Oral Roberts, you're happy to be here. But man, this is going to be an absolute gauntlet of regional. I will make sure I am watching every one of these games very closely. I just cannot wait for this one, and that is my toughest regional of the video. All right, so there you have it for my hardest regionals, easiest regionals. I ranked all of them 16-1. I'll be releasing another video tomorrow going over my favorite and least favorite seed for each one. So I'm going to have like my top 2 number 1 seeds, my worst 2 number 1 seeds, top 2 seeds, worst 2 seeds, and so on and so forth. If you are interested in this content, please give me a like, subscribe. I'm going to keep it coming as the college baseball season is winding into an end here and the tournament continues. If you have not seen my most recent video, I did a prediction of the whole entire NCAA tournament. I gave my winners for each region, my runner-up for each region, Super Regional picks, College World Series picks. I will put that at the end of this video here. But overall, that's all I got for this regional video. Let me know what you think. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm an idiot? Do you think some of these regions are good? Do you think some of these regions are bad? What do you think? Who got screwed? Who got favored? What team got an absolute break here? So let me know what you think below. Leave a comment. Let me know how dumb my predictions are because, I can't wait until after a week of baseball and everything I've said has just been completely erased. Nothing what I said is true. Kentucky's winning it all after I hated on them. But with that being said, thank you all for watching. I cannot wait to come out with my next video. This is my favorite time of the year. Such a fun tournament. I cannot wait to keep putting out content for you guys. All right, with that being said, thank you, and I hope to see you in the next one.